kind of feel like my hair looks like I stuck my finger in an electrical socket.
Hi guys, welcome to my channel and to my Back to Beauty No Buy year. This year I am trying to use my makeup and not buy it. In today's video, I'm using my makeup to bring to you my Pan That Palette partner looks for the month of April. If you're new to my channel, every month my girlfriend and bestie here on YouTube, Angela, and I create looks using our Pan That palette combined with another palette. In this way we keep our Pan That palette projects fresh, as well as continue to use and love all of the things within our eyeshadow collections. I'm panning the Jaclyn Hill Morphe palette this year, and you will see the progress on that in just a few days. But for now, let's go ahead and dive into week one of palette partners for April. So the palette I used in week one was the Ace Beauty Grandiose palette. And it looks like this.
Open up, shut it down like a Macintosh. Open up, open, cold as ice and Coca-Cola. Open up.
Very beautiful. You have 4 shimmers and 4 mattes in here, very pigmented, and it actually paired really well with Jaclyn. Unfortunately, I'm missing a picture for one of the looks with this palette. I have no idea what happened. I either lost the pictures or didn't take any. It's hard to say, really. But I really did enjoy using this palette. I did not use this shade in any of the looks, but I did use the rest of the shades throughout the week that I was using this palette. And my conclusion for this palette is that I like it more than I thought I did, and therefore I'll be keeping it in my collection. Part of my no buy year is to curate my collection down to the things that I love and will use, and this now falls in that category, even though she was kind of on the chopping block at the beginning of April when I started. In week 2, Angela and I both used the Colourpop Element of Surprise palette. I did receive mine in BoxyCharm, and it looks like this.
Open up, you O-P-N, bitch you won't BBM, we should be closer than friends, if you O-P-N, engaging you's on my agenda, request my chariot to get ya, the door's O-P-N, take that hot road and hop in, open up, shut it down like a Macintosh, open up, open.
I enjoyed this one more than I thought I would too. I found a couple of new favorite shades that I think I will reach for because they now reside in the mind palace of makeup in my brain. One of those shades is this one right here called Silk Street. It looks very deep and plummy in the pan, but it's actually a really beautiful berry shade, kind of similar to what I have on the outer V of my eye today, but this has more purple to it, whereas this has more pink to it, or red. I also continue to love this one right here. It's a beautiful duochrome. It looks absolutely fantastic as an inner corner highlight. And overall, I just really enjoyed using this palette this month. Again, this one was sort of on the chopping block in my brain when I picked it for this month, and for now, she's sticking around. In week 3, we used the Alomar palette.
Open up, you OPN. Bitch, you won't BBM. We should be closer than friends. If you OPN, engaging you's on my agenda. Request my chariot to get ya. The door's OPN. Take that hot road and hop in. Open up, open up. Shut it down like a Macintosh. Open up, open, open.
And I said when I picked my palettes last month that I wouldn't be making use of the mattes on the bottom half of this palette because I have dupes for all 4 of these mattes in the Jaclyn Hill palette. So I'd rather be making progress on my Pan That palette than these mattes in here. If I'm being honest, I could depot these 4 shadows and throw the rest of this away and I'd be totally fine with that. Not quite ready to do that just yet, but I do love the shimmers in this palette. And then going into week 4, and the palette that I do have on my eyes today is the Violet Voss Holy Grail palette. I received this in Boxy Luxe in December of 2018, and it looks like this.
You OPN, bitch, you won't BBM. We should be closer than friends. If you OPN, engaging you's on my agenda. Request my chariot to get ya. The door's OPN. Take that hot road and hop in. Open up, open up. Shut it down like a Macintosh. Open up, open, open.
And this was a palette I was looking forward to using all month long. I knew I was using this in week 4, and I haven't really got any use out of this since receiving it in December because I received a lot in December for Christmas and then my birthday in January. So I was really excited to use it this month, and I love the tones in here. There's a couple of duochromes. There's definitely a lot of different formulas and textures in here, all of which perform really well. So there is that one, and I really enjoyed using this palette. So now that you have seen all of the looks that I created this month using my Pan That palette and its individual partners in each week, let's talk about the 2 questions that I've been answering every month, and that is, did the Pan That palette partner project help or hurt my progress on my Pan That palette project? And the second question is, what were my least fave and fave looks, palettes, etc. So let's talk about the palettes first. One of my favorite looks for the month definitely came out of the Colourpop Element of Surprise palette, and it was using this purple right here predominantly on the lid, as well as this beautiful duochrome on the inner corner. And I could put this on my inner corner every day and just be totally excited about it because it just has such a dimension to it that a lot of other inner corner highlighting shades don't. And if you ask me, if this was the eyeshadow version of a highlighter, this would be the eyeshadow version of the Becca Vanilla Quartz, in my opinion. So just putting that out there. I also determined that I really like this shade, which is called Rayon or Ran, also a duochrome. But overall, my favorite look that came from this palette this month was the one with the purple all over the lid. And then my absolute favorite looks from the month came from this palette, which was actually pretty shocking to me considering I was kind of like ho-hum about using this palette this month because I knew I would only be using these 4 shades, and I didn't know how much that would like extend the versatility of Jaclyn over here or what was going to be the case. So the first look I did with this, I used the matte turquoise out of my Jaclyn palette, and then I used these 2 turquoise shades here in combination on the lid. And I loved that look. It was beautiful. You guys gave a lot of compliments on my top and bottom palettes, like ranking all of my palettes video. I got so many beautiful compliments from you guys, and I thank you for that because that never gets old. It never gets old having someone appreciate what you do and what you invest your time and your heart and soul into. So thank you guys so much. But my #1 favorite look for the month was with this palette using this green shade right here. I'm sure you've seen it swatched a million times, but this is just like liquid metal. So my absolute favorite look of the month was the one where I used this green all over the lid with some warm shades in the crease and that bold red lip from Smashbox. I don't know why, but it felt like a freaking bombshell in those pictures, in that look. I just felt like I was living my best life, and I felt it radiating from me that day, and so that was definitely my favorite look this month. So in terms of the palette where my favorite looks came from for the month, it would be the Alomar palette. 2 of the looks were absolute favorites for the month. And that's why, like I said, even if I was willing to give away the 4 mattes in here, I would never part with the 4 shimmers in here. So that's why I'm just gonna kind of wait and see. And then in terms of the palette that I received the most enjoyment in working with it, as well as ease of use, definitely the Violet Voss Holy Grail palette, which was a pleasant surprise, if you will. Surprise because I really hadn't used it, but definitely pleasant. I love this look that I have on today using this duochrome right here, which is called So Jelly. Another favorite this month was this one, this taupey shade right here, which is called Cool Beans. It's really, really beautiful all over the lid. And I know my girl Angela also said that was one of her favorites this month. As well as, this is going to seem so random and like, who cares? But this shade Crystal is just, I don't know, it's the perfect inner corner brow bone highlight shade. It's really similar to a couple of shades in the Jaclyn palette, but I did enjoy this. This just applied like butter. I think the ones from Jaclyn have a little bit more chunk to them. And then this shade right here called Ploof is absolutely beautiful as well. I think my second look with this palette was my favorite, which I'll throw up on the screen for you, but it was soft mustardy, and I combined a couple of the golds in this palette, which I don't always do, so it was nice to challenge myself in that way. So the next question is whether I feel like this project, the Pan That Palette Partners, helped or hurt with my Pan That Palette project this month. And I'm kind of on the fence about that, if I'm being honest, and I am always honest with you guys. I don't have as much progress on my Pan That Palette this month, but I think that's my own fault. I just wasn't quite as aware of, you know, how many shades I was using out of the palette partners versus my actual Pan That palette. And I'm not going to show you the progress because you're going to see it in a few days, but I think what happened was I pretty much used my transition shade and my crease shade out of the Jaclyn palette, and then pretty much the rest of it came from my Pan That Palette partners. So, you know, I don't know that it necessarily hurt the progress this month, but this progress is a little slow going. I do have some days left to work with here, depending on my filming schedule for other content for those of you who don't care about Pan That Palette. So I guess I'm like on the fence. I don't really think that it hurt my progress this month, but I don't think it helped my progress either, if that makes sense. However, it did help build my mind palace of makeup that is in my brain. I now can recall these colors better, specifically on this one that I hadn't used a lot, as well as, you know, these two palettes that were on the chopping block of my mind, and they no longer are. I'm definitely keeping these and going to carry on with using them. So overall, it was a really good month. I really loved a lot of the looks that I came up with this month, and I'm gonna keep on keeping on. In case you're new to this series, Angela and I will both be revealing what palettes we will be using for the month of May on the 1st of May with our Pan That palette updates. So I hope you'll tune in for that little gem, and I hope all of your makeup days are absolutely beautiful makeup days, and I will see you in my next video soon.